Hello and welcome to the Race to Alaska podcast. I'm Jesse, the race boss, flying solo this week. Before we get into this week's teams, just a couple quick notes. One, you know this, we got buried in applications this year. And you know that. I've been rambling on about it. And it's a good thing. But what it also means is we're not going to be able to talk to every single team on this podcast before the race. That does not mean you can't learn about them, though. If you go to r2ak.com, we are putting up all of the team pages, so check those out. You can follow their social medias, make sure that you know who they are before the race starts. What this also means is that if you are a racer and you have registered and you haven't been on and you want to be, email podcast@r2ak.com and we will slot you in. Next thing. We have volunteer opportunities coming up across both of our races, Race to Alaska and 7048, both on the safety side, yeah, we do some safety, and on the media side. If you ever wanted to get behind the curtain, this is it. Go to r2ak.com/volunteer and scroll until you see the orange button that says Apply Now for 2026. That form covers everything, both races, all sorts of roles, just click through it. One of the particular roles coming up is our safety inspectors for 7048. Yeah, we do inspect for safety. We look at required safety equipment before we send people out onto the water. It's the least we can do. We set you up with everything you need to be successful, so go ahead and apply. The 7048 safety inspectors then have a chance to inspect the Race to Alaska boats, which I gotta say is one of the best gigs out there. Go meet the racers, poke around their boats, make sure for us that they have actually taken their engine out. All right, we're going to get to the interview now. Let's start with a merger. This merger was between Team Mike and Marty's Big Day Out and Team Bonesaw. They are now on the same boat. They're calling themselves Mike and Marty and the Bonesaw. You look cozy.
Well, you know, it's early March in Michigan, so we got to be cozy.
I mean, it's fun to do these podcasts. The listeners don't get to see into people's homes, but usually in Race to Alaska, I interact with all of you people and you're like dirty and stinky and grubby and you've been eating tinned fish for a week or whatever. But then I look into your homes and you look a little bit like Mr. Rogers right now.
We should have cultivated a less well-groomed look, is what you're saying?
Well, you'll get there. You'll return to your roots. Oh my gosh, you're in 3 very different places right now. I think that we should probably introduce the 3 of you separately because Race to Alaska fans might know who you are. Maybe there's some new people listening. Eric, you're the closest to me physically right now. So can you quickly tell us who you are and where you're at, your history with Race to Alaska, maybe even before that? When did you get into sailing?
Yeah. So Eric Hansen out of Graham, Washington. So I'm about 120 miles from Port Townsend. It's kind of in my backyard. So I think I was about 15 and my brother-in-law bought a Columbia 22. And he climbed mountains for years, then got into sailing. He bought this Columbia 22 in Gig Harbor, Washington. And he had to move it from Gig Harbor over to Tacoma to a different marina. And he asked me if I wanted to join him. I think I was about 14 or 15 or something like that. And we did it like at 9 o'clock at night. And I just thought that was the coolest thing I ever did. And I think that kind of piqued my interest into sailing. And then I ended up getting, I think I was about 18 or 19. I bought my own boat. It was a little 18-foot sloop, just a beautiful boat. And then I've had boats ever since then of one kind or the other. Race to Alaska, I think when that came out in, was it 2015? Is that when the first race was? Okay.
Yep.
That Oh man, I really wanted to do it. I really did, but I couldn't find anybody that wanted to go with me. Everybody had a job. I did too, but people to get time off was just kind of tough. So it wasn't until two or 3 years ago when I could actually talk my two daughters into going, and a guy from work, and my two daughters had a friend that also went. So that was and we did it and had a blast. It was It was everything that's advertised. I'll tell you that. It was that shit your pants moments to the boring as hell kind of a thing to beautiful day and crappy weather, anything and everything imaginable. So it was good.
All right, Marty, let's hear about you for a second.
Sure. Well, my extensive sailing experience,
Your extensive sail. I mean, you bring the most of it, don't you?
I really do. The guys really lean into my sailing background. Um, okay, so when I was 14, my dad brought home a derelict super porpoise that he found along the road somewhere, bought for, I don't know, $100 or something. And that and a stack of books from the library, kind of self-taught how to sail that thing. Um, and then, so that was like maybe 3 summers of putzing around Michigan inland lakes on a glorified sunfish. And then I didn't sail for 30 years till Mike called up and said, "Hey, let's do Race to Alaska." I'm like, yeah, I got this.
And we let you in?
Yeah, we don't need to dive too deeply into that particular sad
Sometimes we
tale.
just, we vet people based on what you tell us, and we don't know if you're lying. So I don't
Oh,
know
we
what you
don't do
told
that.
us back
Those
then.
guys want to lie.
All right, Mike, your turn.
I might have wrote Marty's application for the first year. There might have been some mild embellishments, but I don't think outright lies.
Got it.
We
Just
got
good
fluffed
stories.
up a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, I've known about the Race to Alaska for a while, since like 2015. Always thought you people were crazy. And yeah, and then I talked Marty into doing it, and we bought a little Corsair and went out there and tried it. And it was a blast. And it's definitely like there's some good type 2 fun in there. It's not a blast all the time, but yeah, we had a really good time. So,
Yeah, so you were Mike and Marty's big adventure in 2023, and that was also Eric your first year too. So the three of you probably met at some point during that.
yeah,
So
yeah, we met launching our boats
so I
in
remember that.
in the marina.
Pulling into the parking lot there. And I don't know, I didn't know these guys from Adam, right? And I remember they were setting their boat up and all that stuff. And I would drive in there, our whole troop and stuff, and drive in there, and I yell at the window, "Hey, you're on my parking spot!" And that kind of started the whole thing. And just two of the greatest guys you could ever run into, and it was just kind of funny how that happened. Me being a smart ass and those guys being two more smart asses, so it worked out pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah, we had the U-Haul truck there.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
So
But then famously, you did not see each other again in Ketchikan. Eric, let's briefly talk about 2023. You may have won the award for most time spent in that little nook behind Seymour Narrows. Is that right?
No, we only spent no, we got holed up in Kelsey Bay for 3 days, 3 or 4 days. The Seymour Narrows was only we were just there for that evening
Oh, well, it might have been. You know what? It was Buckeye who you spent some time with in that bay because they went all the way through,
and got
got
flushed
and they
back.
got flushed right back.
Yeah, yeah. We actually witnessed that because we were hiking around the other side of Seymour Narrows there, or above Seymour Narrows. We were watching the sailboat coming back down
Oh yeah, those guys
down the
they
river.
battled it out just like in the same spot for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that was fun. That was fun. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but then
so
you wind up bailing over at Port McNeil, right?
they're correct. Yeah, we made it up to we left Port McNeil, and then the boat. I think we probably got about 5, 6 miles away. Boat was acting kind of funny. We were really overloaded. I had 5 people on that stiletto, and it was for a fast boat. It was actually pretty slow. find people a lot of water, a lot of food, all their gear, and all that stuff. And so I think we just kind of decided, there again, and that work thing comes up. Some of the people had to get back to work, including myself. So we kind of hung out at Port McNeil there for a couple of days, and I called you and said, "Hey, we're done." So that was the end of the race for us in 23.
Yep. And then you came back though, 2024, and changed some things, including a very long mouthful of a team name.
Yeah, oh
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
is that someone told me that was based on a video game?
So yeah, and I think I spelt that wrong. What was that? Bonesaw's
Bonesaw's Revengeance Rising.
Rising,
What a
yeah.
bullshit team name. Tell us about it.
I'm influenced easy. I was just going to go Bonesaw does it again, or Bonesaw Part 2, or whatever. But my son talked me into that revengeance thing. So
You two, you two have done a lot of other stuff together. Is that right?
Yeah, so I met Marty. We I was in college, and he lived right next door to one of my friends. And I was studying for exams. I was not a great student, and I went to the library to concentrate, and I look at the wall, and there's this big article about Mount McKinley. So I spent like the couple hours I was supposed to be studying for the exams, reading all these magazine articles about Mount McKinley. And then when I was heading home, I biked past Marty's house, and I saw him up on his roof. He was putting a roof on his house. I go, "Hey Marty, you want to go climb Mount McKinley next year?" And he's like, "Yeah." So we went and did it. I didn't have any mountaineering experience. Marty had the mountaineering experience, and yeah, read a bunch of books and went out there with no guide and just kind of winged it. And it was a good time.
didn't you lose some weight on that trip, Mike?
Yeah, I think I lost about, I don't know what, I weighed like 165 pounds coming off of there. And I'm 6'3".
Oh, geez.
So yeah,
Yeah, I think
my
we
wife
both
was,
lost about 20, 25 pounds on that.
I think I lost 40.
Oh,
We I remember the first day we got to, you're schlepping all these bags. You got like hundreds of pounds of gear to get onto the glacier. And then we land there and we're going through our stuff and we're like, we're missing food. Like, I don't know what happened, but we lost a whole lot of food. And I remember we had oatmeal with nothing else, just oatmeal for like 25 days straight for breakfast. And that was like, that was the big meal of the day too. So you're like, oh, it was terrible. It
and
was
at
terrible.
altitude, you just don't have the hunger the same way. And that Mike was developing kind of a gag reflex to the oatmeal by the end.
Yeah.
It was pretty sad.
I would shovel it in and just hold my mouth closed. Like, we met some guys. I think the only reason we were able to summit, right? We were up at 17 something, the high camp, or 18, I forget. And these guys were carrying over. So they carried all their stuff up to the summit and back down. They were going up the north side and down the south side. And the guy's like, "Dude, we packed way too many Oreo cookies. Could you eat some of these?" I think I demolished an entire bag the day before we summited. It was a good time.
So after that, was there more adventures?
They got harder because, both got married. Marty had kids. I got a dog. But no, Race to Alaska was kind of like the next big one. And then, but it hasn't been the last. So we did the Everglades challenge last year, or the Ultra, the first 62 miles, and gearing up to do it again next year. Human propulsion, like rowing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if that goes well, maybe a Washington 360 one day rowing.
Fantastic.
We'll see. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so we've got a little bit of your three backgrounds, and we know how you met. But now we've entered this kind of time. Race to Alaska has been going on for a while now. We're developing these like super groups in the style of the Traveling Wilburys. And so you've come together as Mike, Marty, and the Bonesaw. Whose idea was it in the first place?
It was Mike.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
Mike.
Mike.
I don't know. I think it might have been Eric's because in 2024 you had mentioned to me like, "Hey, would you be interested in doing Race to Alaska with me?"
I said that.
Yeah, and I couldn't do it in 24.
Was alcohol involved?
Probably. It's a late night at Sirens or something.
Well, I probably would ask you to marry me too, Mike. I don't know.
Mike, you're in charge. It's your boat. You're trucking it out from New Jersey, which is a real dumbass thing to do, even though Eric's got a perfectly good boat out here.
Yeah.
Good
Uh,
point.
are these other two guys going to actually listen to you if you tell them to do something?
Um, I try not to bark orders. I try to, I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. Like, I hope maybe.
This is the way I'm looking at it, Mike. You're going to give the order. You're gonna tell us to jump, right? Marty's going to jump, and I'm going to make sure that he does jump. So
There we go.
that's the chain of command right there.
Yeah. No, I mean, we all got a common goal. We all want to finish,
Yeah.
right? And like we finished last time. We were pretty happy with that, but I don't think it's as fast as a Corsair 24 could possibly do it in. And I think I'd like to be able to say like, look, I did a proud job of getting a Corsair 24 there in like a good amount of time,
Mhm.
like Pestu type times,
Oh, you're trying to go for the Pestu record.
Well, I'm not by myself, so it should be
Ah.
better than him. But,
Eric Pesty has the power of 10 men, though.
oh,
That's
you're not
true.
kidding. That guy's amazing. So
So
But-
have you perhaps reached out to him for some tips?
I have not, but I definitely should.
Haven't heard from him since he so gloriously showed up in Ketchikan. I think he might have like vanished into the ether and ascended into a ball of white light or something at the end of that race.
His tip might be you got to get rid of those two. They're going to hold you back. And then what do I
That's
do?
likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, never stop, don't sleep, or if you do it while sailing.
Yeah. I remember you had the tracker and you could overlay the weather on it. And I
Mhm.
remember seeing him head out into Hecate Strait and like windy is red, and I'm like, holy bro, like this guy's got a set of stones on him.
Yeah, quite a guy, that Pesty. You're one of several teams who's kind of you're in a long distance relationship with each other. And this is like a polyamorous like long distance relationship. New Jersey, Michigan, Washington. How do you maintain the relationship? It takes a lot of you got to be in any relationship. You have to have good communication. You have to care for each other's needs. How are you doing that pre-race with all this distance between you?
Mostly, we just haven't been talking. There's an occasional snarky text, some humor, and this and that, but really, there's no plans. There's no assignments. There's not much communication. So
Yeah.
we'll be putting it together in the parking lot, I imagine, at Port Townsend.
Yeah, the other part, it's a ways off. We still got time.
That's a good point.
Yeah, why put off today what you can do tomorrow? That kind of thing, or however that works out.
I think other racers probably are hearing you saying that and just knowing how very wrong you are. It might as well be race day next week, right? For a lot of teams.
Yeah.
There's so much to do, says them.
There is.
But you seem to have a real aloha going on right now. Easy peasy island time vibe.
We'll see how that works for us.
Yeah. We've all done the race before in this boat or in a Corsair 24. So, between the two of us, we have parts, autopilots, like
3 pedal drives probably, right?
3 pedal drives. Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. We have this layover in Victoria, and I always find it funny. Racers get really antsy in those 3 days. Do you three enjoy the extra long layover in Victoria, or are you like, you just want to break out of the stable and get going?
I think at this point I'd like to just break out of the stable and get going because I've done Victoria twice and it's kind of after the first day it gets kind of old
Yeah,
And
what do you do with your time during the layover in Victoria?
walk around, eat food, try not to drink too much, and eat more food, and walk around some more, and
It
talk
sounds
to people.
magical. Why would you want to go? There's a great spa that I can point you towards. That's what I like to do. Go get some foot reflexology done.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Oh yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great town for that.
What impressed me the most last time was just the sheer amount of power tools working on the docks during that layover. You're like, holy crow, circular saws, grinders, like, yeah.
Yeah, last time around we had full new pedal drives being constructed. I think probably in one of your two races, was it Team Shearwater? They had one of their two masts down entirely on the dock. What's some of the bigger projects I've seen happen? Yeah, was it 2024? No, it must have been 2023 that Trace Eckes was in the race. Was that the right one?
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
yes,
because
Texans had
that
to completely rebuild their pedal drive.
yeah, that's right. Well,
Yeah,
they had to they also were having bulkhead failures and they were gluing stuff together with metal rulers bought from the hardware store.
on their
That was
brand new boat.
2023 was the big year of a lot of Corsairs kicking the bucket. I think we had 9 start and 4 finish.
Oh wow! Yeah,
It
yeah.
was great.
They all hit something, didn't they?
Most of them, not all of them, most of them did, but I think Trace Eckes wound up, I think, just having more like structural failure. There was another that was having a forestay fitting, try to pull out of the deck, that kind of stuff.
yeah. Dog Smile, I think, broke a rudder or something.
Yep. Yep. Good old dog
Yeah,
smile. Who will be back.
Yeah.
that's
You,
awesome.
are you buddies with those guys?
They work much faster than us. So, so no.
If you were coming up Tongass Narrows and you were neck and neck with another team for the win, I'm not saying that this is at all possible, by the way.
We're not saying it's not.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. I mean, who knows? If you were neck and neck, would you luff up just to win the steak knives?
I think we'd throw Marty overboard to lose some weight.
We probably would.
You'd go for the $10,000 rather than the steak knives. That's the real question.
Mike,
Yeah.
you're the skipper, buddy. What?
Yeah.
You want that cash?
Winning would be cool.
If we could make one change to Race to Alaska, what would it be?
Hmm.
It could be anything because I'm not going to do it. So don't worry about that.
That's a question you probably should have asked before this, and we could prep for it a little bit. I don't know. I think everything's good. Maybe less time in Victoria, but man, I think everything's good.
Well, no, I got to get my massages. So that one's out.
Okay, okay, right.
Marty, you got any?
Some sort of bonus scoring point system with watercolor water balloons, can direct hits on other teams.
Like a battle element?
A battle element, yeah. Just
Okay.
sort of, I don't know.
You want to do like a Mario Kart type Race to Alaska situation.
That could be.
All right. And Mike, what would your upgrade be?
I don't know if I have one like Eric. Yeah, because it's interesting, right? You went to every other year and you got a lot more people this year. And it's like, at what point does it change? Like, does the spirit of it change?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like we had this conversation, right? Like, I thought, man, it'd be cool to win. And of course, Corsair 24, realistically, it ain't gonna win, right? Like, it's probably not, right?
Oh, breaking news.
Yeah. There's there's no handicap. So the guy who shows up with the best prepped, fastest boat, he's got a pretty good chance of winning, right? As long as it doesn't hit a log or,
Shocking.
if he doesn't win, the second fastest guy has a pretty good chance of winning. So you think about it and you think, man, I want to show up with like a gun to a knife fight. Like, how do I get an Amoka 60 or like an open 40? And I found an open 30, but And then you're like, I don't know if that's in the spirit of the race, like, I
Yes,
don't know.
the intangible spirit of the race.
Yeah, like something's a little bit fun about getting there and being like, dude, we did this in a 24-foot boat. Like, uh, that's a little nuts,
There's
right?
something
Like,
good about like the huge majority of racers starting this race like with complete certainty that they will lose.
uh-huh. Yeah, it's definitely a different type, right?
There's no surprises that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's enough surprises along the course.
Yeah.
So a lot of racers this year, like you mentioned, a lot of returning racers, a lot of folks you might say would go on the Mount Rushmore of Race to Alaska. Folks like Ian and Janice on Team Oracle. We got Lillian coming back. We got all sorts of people that we know. But there's also a lot of people coming out of the woodwork that we've never met before who still have that first shiny layer of terror and fear upon them. What piece of advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I think you to be new to it, it's kind of overwhelming and you're really kind of keyed up and excited. But here's the thing, out of Victoria, you're like pedaling a mile and a half or something like that. That really calms things down. That really takes the nerves, just ratchets down a couple thousand RPM once you've just pedaled all the way on out that whole channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so exercise keeps you calm.
Got it. Mike, how about some advice from you?
Yeah. I don't know. I think all the videos make you fear, like, there's the big ones, right? Like Seymour Narrows and Cape Caution, and no one talks about how miserable Johnstone Strait is. Like, I hated that place. Like, it was just upwind and steep waves. And it was blowing like 40. And like, that's my.
So your advice is
Yeah.
just be afraid of more things than we talk about.
Yeah. I guess like all the parts that I thought would be really terrible weren't quite that bad. And all the parts I thought would be easy were much worse.
So the advice is be afraid, be very afraid. Lastly, Eric, what's your advice for young whippersnapper racers?
Man, I'm glad they're doing it. I'll tell you that. I think Marty's right. I think exercise is important because I think one day we've pedaled like 14 and a half hours. Johnstone Strait is horrific when that wind's blowing. It's like an all day, you just tack and back. It just never ends, right? It's just an endless tacking experience and getting hammered. But I think overall, I think the main thing is that the new people are doing it, and they're going to have it's that one in a lifetime adventure, unless you do it twice, but it's you just get out there and do it, man. Be prepared for everything.
Be prepared. All right. Well, I hope everyone out there has listened to your advice and can take something from it. All right. We have just a couple months for you to sit back and not prepare at all. Team Mike, Marty, and the Bonesaw. So good luck with all of the relaxation you're going to put in before the race. I look forward to hearing about all the sore legs because you haven't been doing any exercise to prepare. I look forward to hearing about all of the oatmeal that you'll eat as you try to relive your glory days. And I will look forward to seeing you here in Port Townsend.
Thanks, Jess. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse. We'll be well rested.
This episode is supported by the Marine Exchange of Puget Sound. Now, this is not an ad where I'm going to send you out to go buy something. I just want to tell you about these people and what they do because they're awesome and they have been supporting Race to Alaska for years now. So these are the people behind the scenes keeping our maritime world from turning into chaos. They track vessel traffic, they coordinate movements, they make sure everything out there, from huge container ships to the smaller working boats, that they all know where everything else is and no one trades paint. It's the kind of system you only really notice when it breaks. And around here, it doesn't, because Marine Exchange has been doing this for decades, supporting safe and efficient movement on the water. We're glad to have them backing the race. All right, next up, it's another merger of two teams who met out on the course. This team met during Washington 360 last year, and they are coming back, heads shining in the sun. Team Triple Threat, bold, bald, and beautiful.
Let's go ahead and get started. You guys are Team Triple Threat. There are only two of you guys. So is this like, Triple Threat, two, or you're missing one? Or is this just a bad boat pun? And if it's a boat pun, based on Trimaran, did you really run that by Race Boss?
Yeah, I didn't run it past him, but
You
that was
didn't?
certainly what I was trying to do. I mean, I struggled with the boat name. We bought the boat this last summer, and at the end of the summer, and I wanted to change it from what it was originally, but man, naming the boat was a little bit of a struggle. So yeah, I wanted to do something that kind of gave some hey, it's a trimaran, but we didn't want to sound like super serious, like all three of them being like real threats. So that's why we're all bold and beautiful. So
Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, that's right. I did see the thing about bold, bald, and beautiful. And again, this is radio, essentially. So we can't
Can't see
really,
it.
yeah,
well,
nobody
all
can
they need to do is head on over to Instagram or to YouTube, where we've been posting videos, and they'll see that we both are a little challenged in the hair
Yeah.
department.
And Bill,
I encountered Rob during the Washington 360. We were
Oh.
both interested in doing this. So
repeat offenders.
yeah,
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Washington 360, that was in a different boat though, right?
right. We each had a different boat, and as soon as we did the 360 in those boats, we said, you know what, we need a different boat. And
Yeah.
Rob was able to get one before me.
Yeah, I started life heading toward Race to Alaska back in, I think it's 2023 or 2022. I kind of made a commitment to start working that way. And I always wanted to use an Angus road cruiser. I've done tons and tons of canoe racing and kind of long distance challenges, and had done quite a bit of sailing as well, but never really focused on kind of sailboat racing. And when I looked around for solo boats I could do the Race to Alaska, and I came across the road cruiser, and I was like, oh, this is going to be my boat. But after Everglades Challenge, and then certainly after the Washington 360, I'm like, little too small and a lot too wet. And I didn't really want to take that all the way to Ketchikan, though it is a cool boat, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Bill, what were you on?
I was on a Drascum. It was a Scafie, which was a 17-foot boat that was open. I thought maybe, if I put a small little cabin on it that would be like a cubby that you get in with canvas, maybe that would be acceptable. And it turns out that was not.
It is a beautiful boat, though. When we met, we were just going into the Strait of Georgia. Yeah, that's going heading across to Point Roberts, and it was right at sunset. Bill's got this kind of brown sail, and the boat, like in the sunset, looks like a landing craft for a pirate ship. And so like on my speakers, I've got, the Pirates of the Caribbean going, and he's got this long banner streaming off the top. I mean, it was way cool.
Excellent. So you guys have a soundtrack for this year, probably then, right? You're working on your soundtrack for the.
We do have a good stereo system. So when we're done fiddling with the boat, my guess is, we should probably start working on a playlist.
Okay. And so now I'm trying to figure out, like, Rob, you have all the videos on, like the boat. You obviously are the person that has the boat, like, closest to him. But Bill, it looks like you have like fiberglass skills, and you're doing some of the boat repair. It looks like you're doing some of that. You have a background in that?
Well, let's see. I'm a mechanical engineer with an RF background, and I love building radio frequencies. So I actually built antennas for satellite and a lot of satellite manufacture.
How come your shop doesn't have any satellite stuff in it? All I saw were like race car tires and like kind of mechanical mayhem, motorized stuff.
Motorized stuff and all that. Yeah, it's kind of like they don't let you take any pictures of all the stuff that you send up.
Oh, so that's why you have very low profile. This is like US secret government stuff.
Well, no, that's kind of the interesting. We're no government at all, other than at the time I was working for L3 Communications, which was Loral, and then went to Maxar. But it's the high power geosynchronous communication satellites. It's the largest communication satellite builder that's just for commercial, and it's stationed right here in Palo Alto.
You're just confusing me now because, when I look at the videos, I like see Rob sitting beside what I thought was something that he created, which is the most, the coolest looking kind of electrical panel I've ever seen on a boat.
That
So
one's all me.
that
Yeah,
was you?
that one's all him.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have some crossover. Seriously, yeah, I think about adding some like Nixie tubes on that, like just to give it the little extra pizzazz because it's got enough dials and stuff on it for that. Okay, well that's you guys seem to have, the electronics figured out and the boat repair stuff look pretty good. So we'll just get right into it. You guys have a Farrier Tramp. And so Farrier Tramp, the team I'm on, Team Rough Duck, we have a Farrier. It's a F9R 31 foot. Your boat is like Rough Duck had a love child with an Angus row cruiser.
Exactly.
It's like, it's kind of like this. I don't know, like if you're a car guy, you would probably say it's like, maybe you guys are doing the Baja in a like TR6 with a tonneau cover. I mean, it looks like a Farrier, a little smaller.
It birthed a second coffin cabin. So there's a cabin in the front that you can sleep in, and then there's this cabin underneath the cockpit, which is where I'll be sleeping. It's actually the same length as an Angus row cruiser, but it's a few feet wider and it's a whole lot more boat. It's got a lot more girth. I think the thing I love about this boat, besides the fact it is a speedy little boat, is the cockpit is actually gargantuan and it's up from the water quite a ways. So, I've got a couple 100 miles sailing on it down in Florida and then up here in Colorado. And it's a really dry boat compared to what I was used to in my row cruiser. So that's probably the major feature I like.
Does that boat actually have a rear like sleeping compartment, kind of like an F-27, Farrier 27? It's like,
Yeah, it's got a hatch that flips open, and there's a pretty large compartment that you drop into, and then your legs are pretty tight to the bottom of well, with the cushion in there, you're pretty tight to the bottom of the cockpit. But there's plenty of room for gear, and I'm already all packed because I sent the boat to Bill out in California, so he has it now, and so I had to do all of my packing a month ago, and so I'm kind of ready to go.
that's really early. Most people do that, like I swear, just like at the last minute. The cool thing about, there's so many cool things about this race, but one of the cool things I think is that all these crazy, some production, some one-off, all these boats come out of the woodwork. And I have never seen this boat in the wild. I don't know how many they made, not very many.
This is like just under 200 they made 300 of these boats, and it was the third generation of the Tramp. There was a Farrier, there was an Eagle before this, and then there was a Super Tramp. Then came this Tramp. So this was the last one. It was made by Oztech, and it's a foam boat. It's foam and fiberglass, so it's several 100 pounds lighter weight than the previous generation boat, which should help us out on the trip. And then it's been really easy to customize. I mean, you may want to ask about pedal drives later, but we have a really cool pedal drive system it's pretty straightforward to attach to the boat.
I have so many questions about pedal drive. So far, Race Boss has always been cutting out my discussions about pedal drives. I don't know. Maybe it gets too in the weeds, but maybe we'll get to that. We'll see. Are you guys going to sleep in that back area in the little cuddy, and then you guys kind of use that as sleeping back there? Yeah, I think that's a good move. That actually in a boat like this is the most stable, there's less movement there than anywhere else in the boat. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I put like 3 inches of foam because I'll actually be right against the hull. And I've noticed in a lot of the videos from other people that, the hulls get pretty wet on the inside, just from condensation and so forth. And so since I'm pretty much on the hull for part of my body, I've got a real nice thick pad that has got a waterproof cover on it. And so hopefully that'll keep me relatively dry.
If you put it on all sides, bottom top sides, then you can just turn it into your own little rubber room. So when things go south, you can just crawl back in there and just have your little recovery time. In our boat, a similar boat, we don't typically use that space back there, but one of our crew has taken it upon himself to claim that as his own. And it works great for us because I swear every race we do, he ends up getting sick. And so he like just crawls in there and is sick for the rest of the race. And do that around the nets. But
Well, if we get some warm nights, this boat, the other thing, I don't think I have any pictures on the website of this, but it does have this really nice bimini top. And I've sailed several days with pouring down rain. And when you put the sides on that, you can still sail the boat and it is dry. And so I'm kind of anxious to see how that works in practice on the Race to Alaska. It's definitely a major feature of the boat is it's so much more beyond just having a Dodger. I mean, it
yeah,
really keeps you warm and dry. So
that is pretty cool. So then is your plan, you're going to well, we haven't really talked about whether you're going to, drive super hard and try and never stop, never sleep, just, continue on, or whether you're going to stop. If you're going to stop, if you have a setup like that where seems like you can get some rest outside undercover, are you going to try and find docks or a beach, or are you going to anchor?
We have gone through a lot of the previous tracks to look where people had stopped, not necessarily to say that's where we're going to stop, but just to make sure we've got good options all up and down the coast. Now, Bill has actually done this coastline, several times, and so this will be my first time up to Ketchikan. And so, I only have what I've seen on the videos and what I've seen on the race tracker. So we've done a really thorough job of kind of marking in the spots. And we both did a fair bit of, let's see, Bill, on Washington 360, did you anchor out or did you guys sleep on shore?
We pretty much were pulling up on shore. We had one
Okay.
night that we slept out, but that
Okay.
was just trying to make the storm window coming to a finish.
In my row cruiser, I pretty much anchored out every night. And then I had a night that I anchored 3 times, or actually 4 when you count the time that it finally held. But yeah, we anchored out for the most part, and it's just to me it's faster. You can roll in, throw the hook down, get your meal on, and then just crawl into bed. And
Yeah.
so
I thought initially, when we were thinking about doing the race, I thought that for us, when we were trying to figure out if we were going to anchor or keep going or whatever, I decided that anchoring might be good. But then I saw a video that had this bear swimming. I had no idea that bears could swim, so we decided to do it. We weren't going to stop. I mean, Katie Stewart swears that the bears are not going to swim out to your boat. But I just keep
I've got a really big hook, and we'll have 2 big stand-up paddleboard paddles.
Yeah, you're just going to beat them off then. Okay, excellent. So you have defensive measures in place too.
Flare
You have
guns,
radio communications, the defensive measures. That's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, Bill, you're not saying much. You're like the strong, silent type. You know the terrain. You know the inside passage.
Yep. I've taken a couple of motorboats up there and brought them up to Ketchikan for owners.
Navigator. So you're gonna like take over the navigator role, you think?
We're going to be talking that back and forth. We actually outlined one route, and then we're just seeing what kind of alternates are for each one of them. This
Yeah.
is so weather dependent, that's just going to be phenomenal for weather.
Yeah.
And tides. It's going to be readjusting your entire circadian rhythm, to a 6-hour on off kind of thing, and then what the weather is doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally true. I mean, and I'm sure the tracker army here, gets a little giggle occasionally, like, when you watch, I've had friends do the race and, you watch their track and you're like, what are you doing? It's like, they're like going around in circles or you're listening to the radio, the tracker people don't get this, but sometimes you're listening to the VH radio and VTS, Vessel Traffic Services, they keep track of us pretty good. Everybody has a tracker on and they talk to us as we're going up. And there is one team that I don't know if they fell asleep or what happened, but they were like, we're watching them and they were just like doing donuts, like out there in the middle of the traffic lanes. And BTS came on and they said, blah, 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 what's your intention? And there's like a pause and they say it again, what's your intention? And then they get on and they're like, to keep racing. It's like they're out there desperately, trying to get this thing moving again, I'm sure. And, sometimes, currents and winds and all that are just not just not amenable to making any forward progress. But
Yeah.
Yeah, actually in the Washington 360, I was in the channel heading up into past Edmonds there. I can't remember the name of that passage, but I was heading up there, and it was the first night that we had two kind of gales back to back, and the gale was pretty much over on the other side of Whidbey Island, but we were getting a tremendous amount of wind coming down, funneling between there in that strait. And I had worked my way almost to the top, and that's actually about where Bill was that night. And I decided to make one more long tack to the southeast, thinking I was going to get this amazing like run into the ferry terminal. And I ended up out in some waves that, I mean, it had been big all night. Like these were like, it was like blowing 35. And then it got crazy. And I was like, well, I'm going back. So I literally dropped 5 miles back. Took about a half day to get back the next morning, but
yeah.
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a good, it's, I don't know, like I keep saying, this race is so crazy. Our experience has been that you can be within a couple miles of someone or a mile of someone, and their experience as far as weather and current and all that is totally different. And, just the, mental fortitude or whatever to be able to be coherent enough to make good choices based on what you're seeing is, very important. And honestly, unless you're trying to bust it out for first place and you have, competition in that regard, sometimes stopping and taking a break does not really hinder things that much. I mean,
Yeah.
even frankly, even at the head of the pack, you're going to see boats stop due to weather, and
Well, Jeff, there'll be monsters out there in their waters, and some of them are human.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's true too. Yeah, forget about the bears. Yeah,
In
right.
that same storm, I was beating my brains going across that, and I made it over to Hat Island. Hat Island, is right above the Clinton Ferry there.
Yeah,
And I'd gotten over there, and I thought, well, there's got to be a lee shore over here, and there's not. The thing's shaped like a damn airplane wing,
yeah, right.
blowing like crazy. So I got to the very tip of the island. I said, oh, there's a little beach here, and a gentleman walks out and he goes, this is a private island.
Yeah,
And I said,
yeah.
yeah. We're in a race, and we're just going to stay here, get out of the wind and everything. And he looks at his watch and he goes, well, you got about 20 minutes of light left. You better go over to the Clinton Ferry.
This race is hard enough to understand without even adding the people who are not, water people. The perception of weather is completely different if you're on a boat in the middle of some serious, shit, and whether you're standing on the beach just looking at it. I mean, your attitude is going to be completely different. So when someone comes, with crazy eyes, struggling up to your beach, you really need to let them stop for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So so weather, you guys, you talked about being out in the weather. Are you guys both impervious? Like if you guys, were put in a boat and shaken up, for a couple hours, like is one of you guys going to puke first or anything?
I mean, we'll see. I tend to have a pretty good stomach. Of course, I've just screwed myself probably
By saying
puking
it.
the entire trip. But
Yeah.
I spent a good 25 years doing canoe racing and lots of river work and everything. And then in the last 3-4 years, I've been doing a ton of sailing. And I feel like I was kind of made to suffer. Like, and I've always been a solo racer, and so suffering in silence and just kind of putting your head down and finishing is kind of what we do. And to be honest with you, I felt like I had enough of that in the Washington 360. And the night that I met Bill and his partner Tien, we ended up sailing across the strait that night, and then we had breakfast together the next morning, and we just had a ton in common. And Bill's experience is just like he's got so much sailing experience, and it kind of, even that day I'm thinking, I decided to do this as a team. So we stayed in touch after that. But yeah, I think for me, I look at this and I go, where I used to have to really lean in and put my head down when I got scared or cold or I was just exhausted, I have a team member I can lean into now, and somebody that's got a tremendous amount of experience, both in sailing, but also even MacGyvering stuff. So if we end up with a broken
There's
boat,
probably like a psychological word for this, the avoidance for answering the question. So I'm going to assume that you're going to puke first then. Sounds like Bill is not going to puke and Rob is going to puke because he just won't answer the question.
Yeah, well, hey, that was a good rambling around though.
All right. He gave it his best try. So
That's
yeah.
right.
Okay. Yeah. So now training, you guys, I mean, it sounds like you have a little bit of experience. You did the run up, the Washington 360, which is good. That's great experience for this race. You guys are doing a little bit of training, getting used to the boat together, or are you two?
we've pedaled the boat together, but we've yet to sail. So I'm going to let Bill actually has the full itinerary for our prep work, and so I'm going to let him kind of chat about all that.
All right.
'Cause
How
it's
do you get
awesome.
prepared? It sounds like you guys are already prepared. You're packed.
Yeah, Rob got packed and put everything that he needed and a lot of his clothes and everything. And he brought the boat down to Flagstaff, and I drove out to Flagstaff, picked it up, and now I have it out here in California, in the Bay Area, and we're gonna set it up. And he's gonna come out for about a week testing, and I got it set up in here, and I'm just finishing up the rest of our projects that we want to get kind of polished off and do maybe a second or third iteration of it to make sure it's good.
Mhm.
And we're planning on taking it out the Golden Gate Bridge, going around Alcatraz, maybe down to Carmel.
Are you going to try that? There's that one, I think it's on the south side. There's a notorious location between the first tower and shore where they
Yep,
get some
potato
nice breaking
patch.
waves. Yeah, you guys going to do that one?
I like to kind of avoid that, but Rob is really interested in going out to see the Farallon Islands. So we'll
Oh, yeah?
see what it does.
Yeah.
We'll see what the weather's like.
Yeah, we see
Well,
what
the
the weather's
smart
like.
the smart move would be to avoid it, of course.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
my ambition may change when we get on the water. So
Yeah. So,
So-
and speaking of, okay, so waves and all that stuff. So I did, again, you guys have a very well documented program here, but I saw that like my one thought about how I know that you guys are going to survive this race is that you knew enough to reinforce the boat. So I saw that you guys figured out that there were some inherent
That's all Bill.
weaknesses,
Yeah.
with the Farrier
I did.
designs, and
I did a lot of research. I mean, you and I have a lot of the same experience with the Caribbean sailing. I used to live on a boat. I went out to Bermuda a few times, and the design that is that folding design of the Farrier, it has some traditional problems, and so we did a lot of research, and I did a lot of online looking to see what it was, and then we went back to his boat and looked at it, and indeed, what was the boat that actually the Farrier that broke? Do you remember the name of that one, Jeff?
which one?
Yeah,
one?
There's a couple of them, but one
you
of
would see
them,
it's the guys from Idaho.
Yeah,
it was Dog Smile,
It
wasn't it?
was
Yeah,
Team
Dog
Dog
Smile.
Smile that actually, but there were others that have had the same problem. Rough Duck had the same problem, not in this race, but and then there have been other issues with logs and things. But it was Dog Smile that had the delamination of the bulkhead issue.
Right, at the bulkhead. And so that kind of cued me right away to start looking at that. And a lot of the forums told me how to look for it. And so I shot that information off to Rob, and he got out to the boat and looked at it, and he said, yep, indeed enough. We got to do some work here. So
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as we opened it up, what we realized, at least on the one side and the back was actually in really good shape. But in the front, I think those were factory flaws. Like one side of it on the starboard side literally had a gap of over a quarter inch where they were not, like the bulkhead was not connected to the hull.
Yeah, there's no resin in there.
Yeah,
No,
and it's
yeah.
just, and then there were places where it looks like, somebody laid it up and it wasn't going right, so they went and got a sandwich and then came
kicked
back when
off.
it dried and just
Dry.
covered it up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we tore all of that out of there, and
Yeah.
then Bill recommended that we pull out the actual attachment points as well, and we put material underneath those, and so those things are bomber now.
Yeah.
So
Good job. I feel better. Yeah. I
yeah,
feel better.
we backed them up with a 1/4 inch G10 plate and bedded all of that.
Yeah, excellent. So you guys probably won't break. That's good news.
Well, you know what? That's our game plan, but this is a boat that we have to sail like we're going to break it. We got to make sure that we're not going to break it.
Something's going to break.
Something's going to break.
we've got a whole epoxy kit, lots of fiberglass, so we're covered. If we put a couple of small holes or a big hole in one of the amas, I think we've got plenty of material to pull it up on shore, drain it out, and get it covered. The main hull is actually pretty darn thick, though, we're going to keep the speed down and we're not planning on sailing at night. So, hopefully we can avoid the logs. So,
Oh, that's going to be your log plan. I like to ask that question because,
Yeah.
yeah. So
The
you're
log plan is probably one of the most dangerous arrangements, that, and you don't see them. It's hard to think about this, and I hadn't heard a lot of people talk about it. It's not like a one. Yeah, there's one logs floating, and there's one, but they become like a washout that comes down along a tide line, and it's like a series of areas of logs.
So what all did you guys have to do to modify? Well, we'll go into the pedal drive thing here. So your pedal drive, it looked to me like this is a two-station single rower for each propeller kind of setup, right?
yeah,
Right.
these are the sea cycles. We looked at a couple of different options as it relates to cycles early on, and Rich is actually the one that kind of steered me toward the sea cycles. It's been a great choice. I found a dual sea cycle here in Fort Collins for a couple $100 and went and picked it up in Granby up in the mountains, and we've had to clean it up a little bit because I think it sat most of its life on the side of a lake, but they're in good shape. We bought some extra materials and chain and all sorts of stuff in case we have breakdowns on the way. We're covered on that too. So
Yeah.
And when I got them out here, I actually pulled them apart and inspected the whole inside, made sure everything was good inside, the internals were good, and there were no strip screws or anything. And then rebuilt when I needed to rebuild, and we're going to put some performance propellers on it, and we'll have two pedal drives that should be up to the task.
The props you're using, are those purchased, home built? What?
now these are actually Rich Harmon's designs up there in the Seattle area.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, he's we have some 3D printed ones. He's working on an injection mold for some other variations on it, but he gave us a couple of hubs and then two different blade sizes to try out. We were able to push like with the regular stock propellers. I mean, we were 4 miles an hour, just kind of putzing along and no wind at our lake here in Colorado.
Hmm.
But he said that they're a much more performance oriented, so a lot more of that power is going to get turned into thrust. So I'm anxious to see what we can get out of it speed wise.
And on top of that, too, Jeff, one of the things that we got these nice seats that you can actually lay down flat, so it gets when you start sailing, you get out of the wind, kind of thing.
Like recumbent?
Yeah, these are recumbent.
That you can lay down flat. And the first one he bought came like the regular seat, but the second one he got it with a bike. So we actually have two recumbent bikes. He's working on his recumbent skills back in Colorado, and I'm doing the same thing here with a recumbent bike in California.
The way I figure it, we have to be ready to potentially pedal 300 to 400 miles because, like in the Washington 360, I rode 200 miles of that race, and so the wind doesn't blow all the time, and a lot of those videos, of other teams, you see not a lot of wind at times. So,
and you know what I found too is that we had both a rowing station and a pedaling station on mine. And the Drascom was out, I guess, in the northwest kind of courtyard there before the race, and it generated quite a lot of interesting comments because we had a pedal drive facing forward, and then a sliding seat facing back.
And which is your favorite?
I liked the rowing. Yeah, but what I did find is that when I took my crewmate, and he would he liked sitting in the seat because it was very comfortable. But he could also pedal while we were sailing, and we would get that little extra upwind distance, if you know what I mean, where you could just point, just holding that thing a little bit better than normal.
and for me, I'm really glad I'm not rowing this year. I enjoyed the row cruiser and I had it for a few seasons, but I didn't have time to do a lot of training last year before the 360. And so I ended up with de Quervain's tendonitis in both my arms. And I just got done with surgery. So like they carved my wrist. I can't get it angled right. But yeah, I had surgery 2.5 weeks ago for that, and thankfully it's helped a lot. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want to be anywhere near a rowing station
Right.
this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
How are your knees? I did see that you guys are doing singles with no flywheel. So you have that traditional kind of dead spot that, people make work and it's all that. But I think if you like go back, what was it, the Goujon 32? He said that, it is kind of hard on the knees a little bit because of that dead spot. But then
Right.
again, you guys have two pedalers as opposed to his one.
Hmm.
Or you're just going to tough it out, right?
Yeah, we're going to have to tough that out because trying to adapt the C cycles with a flywheel would be a little bit more to take on than what I think we want to. Although
Yeah.
that flywheel design is such a sweet design, I really like that.
Are you guys, I assume you're going the jet boil route, you
Yeah,
know.
Jeff, you're familiar with the Yamahas, right? The Yamaha
Yep.
60s. They
Yeah,
have
sure.
a little gimbaled stove that I kept seeing on all the Yamahas,
Yeah.
and I went, you know what? I want that.
So you found a gimbal unit.
So I
Okay.
found that little gimbal stove that you see on all of those boats, and we used that on the Washington 360, and it was wonderful. Can you imagine on a on a small little Drascombe boat, we're out there and we're cooking up soups and making up food, and it's
It's
just
awesome.
yeah.
And then it sounds like you said making the food. So does that mean you're not going freeze dried or you're doing something a little different than freeze dried?
We'll call it freeze dried with alternates.
Freeze Dried Plus.
Yeah,
Some
freeze
people have been
dried
talking
plus.
about pouches with burritos in them and stuff like that, but yeah.
Well, heck, when you start out, you got to bring a couple of burritos. That's just
Yeah.
only fair, dude.
Right. And then so now it sounds like you guys are anchoring, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're stopping for supplies. When your whole plan in your imagination here, are you going to stop and then resupply as you go up, or
So
water and food?
the stopping is not like a scheduled stopping. Sometimes you get like a lot of adrenaline going. You've started off, and it's hard to like say, oh, I'm just going to get to this harbor when I first start out, and then I'm just going to sleep. And you don't. You're just sitting there thinking about, oh my gosh, what do I do? Maybe you should go on a little bit more. Those kind of things. And then you're going to be basing it on that 6 hour window and all that. As far as like the food is concerned, I think we're going to have enough food to take us all the way up there. It's going to be the water. And so the stops would have to be, to get additional water. You figure, a gallon per day per person and, actually 3.7 liters. So you're going to have like 40 liters each.
It's heavy.
And that's like a 10-day run, right? And
Yeah.
that's a lot of weight.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be, enough spots fairly well spaced where we should be able to stop and re-provision on water relatively easily. And hopefully there's a burger nearby. And
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to towns, and so you're not going to like go into the bear infested, little stream and filter and stuff like that. You're going to
That,
find the
that
town.
we'll bring some treatment, little tablets or something in case, on the upper side of it gets really bad up there. But I think if we get to Bella Bella and we have maybe, we're not really locked in yet, but we get an additional, 3 gallons each or something like that, I think we got enough to go
Yeah.
the duration.
All right. Well, that sounds pretty cool. And then as far as things that you're concerned about, I mean, it sounds like you guys have been thinking about it, been preparing it. Are there any things that like you're, kind of worried about?
I wouldn't say I'm worried necessarily, but I had a heart surgery a couple of years ago, and so my body just doesn't quite keep warm in the way it used to, and so I'm used to doing all these super long races and never having a problem with like thermal regulation and all that. It's not terrible now, but it is kind of like I just because I've never been up that passage, I don't really know what we're in for. So, I've got tons of dry clothes that are already packed. We're going to have fallies. We're going to have a dry suit. So it'll be fine. But I'd say, that being shivery cold, I just don't want to be kind of gross and cold. Aside from that, I've been in some decent sized waves out on Lake Erie and certainly had my share of some pretty crazy times on the 360. But I know we're going to see stuff on this trip that I've not experienced before. And as as kind of unnerving as that can be, I'm actually excited for it. I'm interested in doing things like this to push the limits that I have and to learn new things. And so I think there's going to be a ton of opportunity to try to turn those scary moments around a little bit. We're gonna try to use both of our skills to keep us out of problems we can see. But when the things creep in that we didn't plan on, we'll just find a way to get through it. And I'm sure some of those moments will be a little scary.
Oh,
So
you'll be tested, that's for sure. Anyway, so thanks, guys. Good luck. Sounds like you're doing some really good prep. Just be careful up there and make smart decisions, and just like your mother's always said.
we are looking forward to it. So thanks for interviewing everybody. These podcasts have been awesome. They're both informative and entertaining, and certainly helpful as somebody that doesn't live in the area to kind of tap into this. So
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, good
All
luck,
right.
guys. And
Thank you
maybe we'll
again.
see you at the start.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care, Jeff. Bye.
Take it easy.
That was Team Triple Threat. Thank you, Jeff, for that interview. Next up and last for this episode is Team Salmon Hat, returning from last year's Washington 360.
Team Salmon Hat. Why don't we start with who you are and where you are?
I'm Christina. We go back and forth between Seattle and Portland right now. So home base, I say, is still Seattle. And I'm sitting here with...
I'm Bill Serino, Christina's husband. Same place, Portland, but live in Seattle pretty much right now. And that's where the boat is and where the team is. And
I'm Josh Van Natta. I live in Seattle. I've known Bill since 2020.
no,
Yeah.
before that,
Oh,
2000.
I'm feeling nervous. No, since 2000. It's been a long time.
Hi, I'm Jason Spike. I've been in Seattle for 10 years after moving from the Midwest, and I actually work with Christina. She was my introduction to sailing in Seattle and to the team.
It sounds like, Christina, are you a bit of a catalyst here?
Yes, I'm told this is all my fault. Bill and I started dating in 2018. And I remember that spring we were sitting having lunch and he's like, have you heard of the Race to Alaska? I'm like, no. And so I promptly looked it up and I was captivated by the stories. There was some great writing that I just loved reading, all of the bios and the digests, and I became a tracker junkie. By the end of that season, I decided that we needed to do the Race to Alaska, never having been on a boat, right, on a sailboat. But I told Bill that we needed to do it, and so he has kind of taken it from there. And
Well, she knows I have a lot of experience sea kayaking and suggested that we do it in sea kayaks. I love paddling, but I didn't really want to make, 30 plus miles a day in a sea kayak. Then she said, what about a sailboat? I've been a sailor on and off for years, and I thought, okay, we could do that. But I sort of told her it was a bad idea and tried to convince her out of it through all the reasons why you shouldn't do it: money, time, commitment, just general smarts. And she said, let's do it anyways. So here we are.
yeah. And then we recruited Josh, who Bill and Josh were friends from way back, met in boat school and have sailed together. So we added him to the team. We race on Lake Union in a weekly race in the summer, the Duck Dodge. And there was a week that I wasn't able to be out there, and Jason was. So he got suckered in at that point, and
We wouldn't let him leave.
And at what point did your lovely sailboat join the party?
Well, I looked around for a while trying to find a boat that was sort of appropriate, something that wasn't going to cost too much money, that was going to be fun to sail. And part of the not cost too much money was something that was relatively easy to trailer. In the search, I ran across S279s, and they were sort of about the right size. And they have a dagger board, so you can pretty much launch them on and off a ski boat kind of trailer. And our truck is strong enough to pull it around, and found one for sale in Fern Ridge down in Oregon. It needed some help, but nothing that a couple of years of poking at it couldn't fix.
Okay, so you've had a couple of years of kind of working away on her, and then you did the Washington 360. How did that go?
It went well. Let's see, when did we get the boat? 3 years ago?
Yeah, we got
Uh,
fall of 2023. We got the boat.
With the intention to do the race to Alaska. And then we were going to do the race last year, but that didn't happen. So we pivoted to the Washington 360 instead. And that was great. We had 5 on board, same people that's here, plus Christina's son. That went well.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good race. Learned a lot about what we need to do better at, of course, sleep. That is the big thing.
What will you change?
We'll actually have a schedule.
There are times when everybody needs to be on deck and times, and it's hard during the daytime when it's light to have a nap, but just paying more attention to the importance of people getting their sleep in.
Take advantage of quiet times when we can sleep, and bring noise canceling headphones.
I think that'll help keep it fun, which it mostly was last time too, but we got a little grouchy here and there.
That's part of it, isn't it?
I'm sure we're not the only ones to ever do that. Yeah.
And then as to your choice of propulsion, what made you decide on that?
Well,
We got some free oars from a former racer, Chris Amundsen, who was they did both the Washington 360 and R2AK, I think in 2017, away team.
Oh yeah.
And he happened to post that he had he wanted to give his oars to somebody who was doing Washington 360. So, well, between that and the fact that there was an S279 that did the race, R2AK in 2018, they used oars and it worked out pretty well for him. So we knew it was doable. It was the path of least resistance.
We don't have a metal shop of any kind or a place to really build any kind of pedal drive. And it's a transom hung rudder, and there's also a big solar panel back there, and there's just a lot of crap in the way to setting up any sort of logical, simple pedal drive system. And also, frankly, all I hear about are people's pedal drives breaking constantly. That's all I hear about. So, oars are fundamentally simple.
And they moved us along.
Yeah, and
pretty well.
we have one thing that really helps in the boat is being able to pull that dagger board up when we're rowing, and it reduces our wetted surface quite a bit. So basically, we were able to keep up with anybody with a pedal drive.
Yeah. Josh
has been an ace at building a nice sliding seat setup for it and working on getting a good, solid, comfortable rowing position. The oars are ridiculous. They're 15 feet long and they must weigh 20 pounds apiece because they're like rafting oars with 3-foot extensions on them. But once they're in place, there's 5 pounds of counterweighted lead right around the grips, and they're actually very light to row with. The ergonomics of it all work out pretty well. It's just sort of a pain in the ass to set up and take down.
I did have a little look at your Instagram account, and do I see 2 rowing stations? One fore and one aft?
Yes. Up in the bow, we have some light sweeps. Those are a little easier for me to manage than the big heavy ones. They're not quite as light as, at least for me. I'm smaller than everybody, and so the seat isn't set up really well for me. But the rowing station up front, I can actually put some time in there, and it's power assist. We wouldn't want to try to row exclusively with those, but Josh and Jason are working on making some improvements to that station as well. For Washington 360, the oars weren't secured. They were just kind of free hanging in the netting, and that didn't work out so well. So we're making some improvements to that.
Well, it sounds like lots of fun.
The best thing about the oars up front is that in close quarters, it's a much more vertical orientation of the oars. They don't stick out the side of the boat very far. So close quarter maneuvering is much easier than swinging 15-foot oars in the back of the boat. Maybe getting out of Victoria might be a little bit easier having the rowing station up on the bow, at least until we get away from the dock.
Wow, it's nice to have some options for sure. It's great.
I remember Bill prototyping the forward rowing station, and he used a fender to see if seating would even work. And it worked so well that it's become a permanent part now of the station. It'll roll with you forward and back, and it works great.
That's excellent.
Jason spent a lot of time rowing up there in Washington 360, for which we're all grateful.
Are any of you rowers outside of rowing your sailboat?
No.
Just for fun.
I love it. I love it. Let's think a little bit about the route ahead. Once you leave Victoria, what are you thinking? What's keeping you awake at night? What are you excited about?
Oh boy. It's a race, so I always feel like the moment the race starts, it's just busy. There's really never downtime. There's always something to be doing, fixing or paying attention to, or looking at the other boats, or trying to figure out maybe something different on the plotter, or just I always find it super busy. So there's nothing in particular that's going to keep me going. There are things that keep me up at night. Logs keep me up at night. I think about logs a lot.
That's a good one.
For me, this is all new. Josh is our ace in the hole for having actually sailed up the island and Vancouver Island. It will be an adventure for sure. This will be the longest. We finished Washington 360 in just under 5 days, which we were really happy with. Looking at that distance and the time, it's a little daunting, but also kind of really looking forward to it.
So I want to also ask about your team name, because I'm wondering if you've got some kind of secret support network with some orcas, perhaps, or any salmon. Or tell me about your name.
Well, that back in the mid 80s or so, there were some of the resident orcas around the San Juans were having fun one summer, I guess, swimming around with salmon on their head. They had dead salmon that they'd swim around with, and did it all summer long. At least that's my understanding. And we thought that was sort of interesting. And then some were seen last year swimming around with some dead salmon on their head again after a long hiatus.
So we're sucking up to them.
Yes,
basically.
we're trying to court favor with the orcas around. And so we decided to be Team Salmon Hat.
Well, I guess, fashion goes around in cycles for everybody, hey?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your last 3 months? Time is starting to slip away.
You've got a project manager in Christina on the call. So she is keeping the list up to date.
I let everybody know a couple weekends ago, we only had 15 weekends between now and the race, and some of those are committed to other things. So the time is definitely starting to tick. And the weather here, well, right now it's not being very cooperative, but we've had some decent dry time. So continued improvements to the rowing stations is big. Installation of a heater is high on the list.
Ooh, yeah.
It might be number one, in my opinion.
It's about half installed at the moment. We have a little diesel heater going in. A little bit of luxury would be appreciated. Day 8. What else?
We're going to pull the keel.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We managed to ding a rock underneath the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. We were our biggest folly on that race was we tried to tack up the eddy, and the idea was to get to the top of the eddy, and there was some wind, and we would ferry across, probably lose a little bit, but maybe make it to the eddy on the other side and tack up the eddy on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that didn't really work. We did tack up the eddy. We had a great time doing that, 50 tacks later, and one nice whack of a rock, and it put a nice little ding in the toe of our keel. So we're going to take it out and give it a good look and fix that.
I guess I should point out it's a dagger board, really, through the top of the boat.
Yeah, that's easier than some boats.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
It'll be hanging in Josh's backyard or on his porch, which is where we've done a lot of the work on the boat. Thanks to his wife, Rebecca, for allowing us to kind of colonize and do that work. It's great having Josh and Bill with those skills, and Jason. All three of them have put a lot of work into fiberglass and repairing and all that stuff. So
Yeah, the boat has had a major overhaul. We rebuilt the transom and took out the motor that was in it. Had a little 7-horse BMW diesel, which they don't make parts for anymore. So we just decided to yank it and patched up the hole and the strut off, and faired the hull, and new standing rigging and new mast wiring and new electronics and new sails and
she's in good shape.
all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, that's got to feel good. Had your hands on all parts of the boat.
Oh yes, absolutely. And we do know the boat well. She's treated us quite well. We've been racing pretty regularly, pretty much everything we could get to over the last 3 years. Kept us on the podium most of the time. We're pretty happy with her, actually.
It's been a fun project too. Bill and I actually met 26 years ago in boat building school, so it's nice to have a project together too.
Indeed.
I mean, with all of us.
I think it's just been lovely. I think you're going to have a great adventure.
Jen, having done this before, could we glean any tips off of you, or
maybe
things that we're not considering yet that we should be? Logs, for instance, did that ever become an issue for your team?
Yeah. So, when we did the race in 2018, they told us they went to sleep at night, and they largely did. In 2022, they didn't, and which I thought was incredibly rude. It was a big log year. It was the sort of the first really big log year of the subsequent years. We high centered ourselves on a huge log. My crewmate and I were below deck in the V berth on our sleep shift, and I tell you, we couldn't tell if we were dismasted or what had happened. I was pretty sure that we were going to be taking on. It was the loudest sound I think I've ever heard, and it was, of course, it was nighttime. We were a team of 6, and so we had people out on the deck with our backup paddles trying to shove this log and bounce it out from underneath as it slid along our keel. The boat was remarkably fine. She was incredibly sturdy. It was a 32-foot dash sailboat, and yeah, she did really well in that. But there was a lot of logs.
That's incredible. I think I'm glad I asked, but maybe I regret it.
I'm a relatively new sailor too. Really, my first time doing any real sailing was when I went on the race in 2018. So I was one of those people who just sort of naively stepped on and then luckily came out the other end. But one of the things I've really learned is how sturdy some of these old, keel boats are.
Mm-hmm.
If they're well looked after, that form factor is really strong. It was very frightening and hard to listen to some of the more fragile, delicate multi-hull boats going through similar circumstances and not faring as well.
Yeah.
So, their advantage, of course, is they're light and fast, but they're also very fragile. So it's such a strange race because anything can happen, and what you think is an advantage might not be.
Yeah, we're going to pour in a little bit of a crash bulkhead, sort of unused space on the front half of the V berth. We're going to pour some expandable foam in there and turn that into hopefully something that'll keep us from sinking if we do whack something real hard. We also have, the dagger board in some ways is great because it's a great foil. The boat performs well upwind, but it has an absolutely perfectly vertical leading edge. So we're not riding up on anything. There's no soft approach to a log. So that has me a little something to think about at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that was our favorite tool was a very, very high-powered searchlight. When logs became present, then just putting somebody up in the bow, and hopefully it's not driving rain in your eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to take 2.
Good idea.
Yes. Yeah. Take 3.
Everybody gets a light.
Yeah, look under your chair. Yeah, it's such an adventure, and it's so hard to anticipate what's going to happen. Sleep is a really important food. Certainly keeps people's spirits up. We had a snackle box. That was a real win. We had a wonderful food provisioner on our both our races. She was incredible, and having good food makes such a big difference.
Yeah. I guess, my goal in all of this is to have fun. I would all for sure, I want to make it. That's the whole point of, why we're doing this. But, and it's going to be a lot of type B fun. It always is, this kind of thing. But I just want to make sure we're all having fun out there and not scare each other too much, and come back in one piece.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to not make it too hard for the editing gods out there. And because I think we could chat for a long time. But yeah, it is all about the story you make for yourself. So thank you so much for chatting with me tonight.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
One more quick question. I don't know if you can answer it. Is there a number yet? Like, I am dying to know how many boats are going, we're going to be, I feel like we're going to be seeing people all the time at this point.
Oh, I see.
Just because this year there are so many boats that.
I don't yet know. Jesse hasn't let us know. We're peons in the system as well, but the distances are deceptive. We found that we would sort of find our little groupings, and then for various reasons, people would just disappear. Some people would decide to drop anchor. Some people would decide to try and go a different route. And so the further north we got, the larger those distances got. And you might see kind of a tiny little triangle on the horizon and be like, I think maybe that's one of our boats, but I don't know. So yeah, maybe you'll have buddies to race with, which is super fun. Makes it definitely an exciting endeavor when you can put a little bit of gasoline on the fire to keep going. But
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I just didn't know if there was a final number yet. But we will find out in the fullness of time. So
we definitely will, and it'll come faster than we think. All right. Well, we'll see you in Victoria.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to meeting you in person.
Thanks for your
Getting
time.
excited. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week. Racers, if you want into the podcast, email us at podcast@r2ak.com. Listeners, go to r2ak.com. Go to the team page and follow along. And as always, the Race to Alaska is a project of Northwest Maritime based in Port Townsend. Check us out at nwmaritime.org. We'll be back next week. Until then, make good decisions or don't.